Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the sixth episode of CoinNewsExtra Virtual Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Panel Discussion. So today we'll be talking about an event that just happened in the ecosystem. We'll be talking about Bitcoin halving, paying or gain. So we'll be knowing the impact of Bitcoin halving in the ecosystem. So we have a gentleman joining us from different locations today. So we have the CEO and founder of QBS. He's joining us. He's Eric Arnold. Eric, you are welcome to our CoinNewsExtra.
Very much. One of the co-founders of QBTech.
Okay, thank you for joining us. We have another person. He's joining us from Holland. We have Arnold Begus. Arnold Begus is the co-founder and board at Dutch Blockchain Association. So Arnold, you're...
Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're welcome. Joining us is Obinna Obidike is research analyst at Sabi Exchange. Obinna, you are welcome.
Okay, thank you for having me, and it's nice to meet all of you too. Good morning.
So it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. So today we'll be talking about the Bitcoin halving. We want to know whether it's pain or gain. So like it is, Bitcoin halving is the reduction of miners' reward. Is the halving of miners' reward. It used to be 12.25. It's going to affect the ecosystem. So what do you think will be, let me start with Eric. Eric, what do you think will be the impact of this Bitcoin halving on the Bitcoin market?
Well, thank you very much. I want to take it from this way, looking at it holistically. So today we are all talking about Bitcoin, but why are we here? Why Bitcoin? Why blockchain? So we are more interested now about Bitcoin, but we seem to be forgetting about the cause of this revolutionary technology. Bitcoin is not something that came accidentally. It was through a deliberate and a conscious effort by people backdating in the 80s. You have someone like called David Chung, who invented what they call DigiCash, which had the buy-in of likes of Goldman Sachs. Even Bill Gates wanted to buy it for about $100 million. Then to make it a part of Microsoft Windows. But the founder, David Chung, was someone who was very, very unpredictable. So that the technology died off. So why Bitcoin? Why are we here? Bitcoin came as a result of greed of society. Bitcoin came as a result of secrecy, as a result of inappropriate government activities, things that they do without considering the average young man on the street. So you and I, for the last 50 years, the last 60, 70, 100 years, our sovereign power in terms of our wealth is being handled by a group of people called central banks and government who arbitrarily create money. So government create money through what we call quantitative easing. Private banks create money through lending. And the more they create money, the more your wealth goes down. The more they create money, the more your ability to buy goes down. But guess what? We don't care. The average man don't care. You and I, we don't care because we don't even understand the technicalities of this. So I'm not going to go into the details of it. So Bitcoin came as a result of this global frequent financial crisis that we'll be witnessing. It's not only in 2008. Financial crisis has been happening over the years. In 2000 it happened, in 2008 it happened, and even in the 80s. So it is a result for people to say, look, guys, I think we can have something called deflationary technology. So Bitcoin halving is simply a deflationary process that will give you and I opportunity to increase our wealth. Because now our money that we have, the dollar, the pound, the euro, the naira, the Ghana cedis, is just a mere paper. It's not backed by anything. But money is supposed to be, one, a unit of exchange and a store of value. But today, the part of the store of value is no more because it's just a paper. It's not backed by anything. So inflation keep on coming. The more they print money, we keep on getting inflation. So your $100 2 years ago is no more $100. Yes, on paper it's $100, but in terms of value, in terms of purchasing power, it's no more $100. That is what Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are solving. So because we are all excited about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the first one, but for me, I want to look at it from a holistic approach. So what does it mean to say Bitcoin has going to have, halved? This is the third time it is happening. I think it happened in 2011 or so. It happened in 2016, and now it is happening in 2020. It's going to happen again in 2024. So and it's going to go on till 2140 in the next 100 years or so. Maybe I will not be alive then, maybe. So what it means is it gives opportunity for this particular asset to be more scarce. Just like we know of gold. In the olden days, people can mine gold on their backyard. People can get gold on the street. But as civilization increased, as people grew, population increased, as activity of the usage of gold increased, gold became more scarce. And the more scarce it is, the more valuable, so to speak, it becomes. So Bitcoin, today we have Bitcoin in a form of internet gold. So if it is actually an internet gold, and we know it has a limited supply or a kind of a ceiling that it's not going to be more than 21 million, then it therefore, assume the feature of gold that it's going to be more difficult to find Bitcoin. It's going to be more difficult to access Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is going to solve two things for us. The thing that we have lost in this current financial system, means of exchange, yes, our fiat money is it's a unit of exchange. But as a unit of value or store of value, no, it's not a store of value. But Bitcoin is going to help us regain that power of store of value. Because Bitcoin will keep on increasing in value. Yes, it is volatile.
Arnold, what can you say about the Bitcoin halving? Just of course, what will be the impact on Bitcoin price?
Well, yes, the price was half, but if you look at the glass of water, it can be half full and half empty. And I am really surprised that, well, the Bitcoin is still here after Corona, after many years. And that is something very important, that it's still here. And I see no reason on the short term that the Bitcoin would go permanently. And of course, its high volatility is something that is not pleasant, but that most of the time has to do with speculation of the money. The value still is there. And I fully agree with Eric. The idea of digitalization in general and the promise behind Bitcoin, so the promise of the blockchain, is far more important. We ourselves have an offer also to Africa, a modeling language, an easy language to program smart contracts. And I believe that smart contracts are far more important to transfer knowledge and trust than having this coin. And we just also hear that there are at this moment hundreds of different coins. So blockchains will come and go, all kind of sizes and having all kind of properties. So it stands for a wave of technology. Just as we had the internet introduced on Africa, on the whole world, and we know what the impact is. It was great, wasn't it? Yeah? It was a great invention. Now we have a new kind of technology that makes that we can transfer trust peer-to-peer, so without having a middleman. Now that's also a great thing, and also because the technology behind blockchain is fairly simple. So for a continent like Africa that has not a large infrastructure, it's a big benefit. Just as the internet was a big benefit, because look, everywhere in the West and in America, they had these huge libraries and universities. Well, you just have the same knowledge. You can download the same books. Without having all these buildings and all these people, you still can learn. Now, that was a major benefit. And for example, we transfer now knowledge in this video. And it's really great because the cost of doing that is not that of building a whole building and giving a big lecture. So I believe there is it's still very promising.
Oh, that's it's still very promising. What we are talking about, Bitcoin, people, there are technology that is beneath it, that's the blockchain, and it's still good to still talk about the technology that cryptocurrency, most especially Bitcoin, run on. So, what can you say about it, Obina? Obina, what can you say?
Okay. Hi. Let me tackle it from three angles. I have effect of the Bitcoin halving on the ecosystem. We have the price effect. So let me give you like some history. Some few days back, speculators were like trying to say, oh, we've hit $10,000 on a Bitcoin. So we what we are saying, after the halving, we might be going to $15,000 or $20,000. But from what we've seen from the last few hours, we've only seen like a 3% increase of the price, which is as of this morning it was $8.8, $8,000 or so. So one of the effect is like a negative effect on the price, because the Bitcoin halving, we are anticipating that with the Bitcoin halving, we will have above $15,000 per Bitcoin. But now we've not even really hit the because we had some highs like some few days back when it was at $10,000. It should be on a Thursday or so. It was at $10,000. But now we are not even up to $9,000. So one, the thing is that my reason for this is because people have already been speculating that the Bitcoin will be coming. So the Bitcoin halving will happen. So they've been getting prepared. So my answer to that, why people they've been worried, like, why is this thing not going higher? But the thing was that they forgot that they've been waiting for it to go higher. They've been miners and buyers, speculators, they've been stacking Bitcoin. So the highs we had some few days back has already been reached. So the next high now will have to be patient a little for it to get to that. Then the second one, the miners effect. You all know that for every transaction that is confirmed on the blockchain, there is also a reward which has been halved. So now we already have 50% loss for a miner, for an average miner that mines Bitcoin. I already having 50% loss, because now 50% of your money is coming in if you confirm a transaction. But the problem is now the operating cost is still high. So they are having like a negative effect too, because now they are having less money coming in, and also their cost is also increasing because of electricity and also the machines they use for mining. So they are having problems now because their only saving grace would be if the Bitcoin price increases to at least 15,000, so that they could cut on that their expense, because now they are using more resources to mine less Bitcoin.
Okay, before we go to miners, you really were making a point there. Before we move to miners, because here we have the reduction of the reward for miners. There is a reduction as it has just happened. So what would be the fate, as you are saying? Let me come up with it already. So as you are saying, what would be the impact of this reduction on miners? So do you think your mining is going to be a very viable business?
Okay,
Let me continue with you before we go to
okay,
other
like
people.
2 days back I read Huge 8 is a Canadian mining firm in Canada. So for Q1 they've been making losses because of this halving. now I don't think they can even break even again because they already have debt to pay. So it's like a negative effect on their business because now they are using more resources to mine lesser Bitcoin. So on the mining industry now, we have, like, I feel this Bitcoin have we squeeze out the retail miners. We still have some small players in the mining sector. So with this Bitcoin have, they might not really be able to break even because they are using more resources for less income. So I feel the space now is dominated by Bitmain, which they have like a 66% market share. I feel in the next few months they will increase their market share because the retail miners will have to go out because they can't really make up. So I feel with time we might have a centralization because we might have the top three like Antspool and the Bitmain gaining the whole market share, while the space for the retail miner shrinks.
Okay, Obina, you are trying to say that mining will be viable only to the big boys in the ecosystem.
Yes, the big boy, because now they can't really play along because they will have to upgrade their machines, they will have to upgrade their electricity contracts for them to even break even, and also pray that price of Bitcoin increases to like at least plus 50% as it more than it is today for them to even for the retail miners to come in. So it's not a space for the big boys.
Okay, thank you. Eric, do you think, or what do you think will be the effect of Bitcoin halving on miners? Do you agree with Obina?
Well, so thank you. Well, that normally you realize that as commodity or assets decreases or become more scarcer, and you also have operating costs to get this asset out, it will actually have an effect on your cost of production, right? But I always want to look at this thing from this perspective. It's always important for us to have some perspective, right? We are talking about Bitcoin. So if you want to be a speculator, if you are only interested in Bitcoin being an asset where you can buy and sell, speculate on it, then this discussion will keep on coming. But the essence of having Bitcoin, a decentralized currency, was not to have a central control. But if we don't take care, the real essence of Bitcoin being a decentralized kind of asset or currency without any central control, we will defeat that purpose. When Satoshi, published the white paper, the whole idea was to have a global decentralized payment wheel without anyone controlling it. But now what we are realizing that because of commercial, because of, so to speak, greed, few people controls the affairs of Bitcoin mining. So we have huge institutions making tons of millions of dollars by just mining. So in summary, for me, what I see the future, minus the big corporations like Bitmain in China and other places. Today, China controls about 55% of the global Bitcoin mining. China alone. And so if you are defeating the purpose of Bitcoin, you are defeating the purpose of Satoshi white paper, where we don't have to have a centralized, control. So in effect, the more the halving, of course, you have, 12.5, today 6.25. So it has reduced by half. So in natural sense, you are losing. But are we losing? No, we are not losing. Bitcoin must have mass adoption. Bitcoin must reach the average man, the last man on the streets. If Bitcoin become a global payment wheel, nobody loses because miners are going to still validate the transactions. The more they validate transaction, there's a transaction fee for payment. So our mindset, our approach should be, how do we get Bitcoin in the hands of millions of people? It's not about how can I mine more Bitcoin to make more money now.
Okay, you are saying, sorry to cut you short, you are saying something, Mr. Eric. Hello? You are saying something. I'm not trying to cut you short. I want to throw it this question. You are saying something that these big boys in the mining sector, they are dominating and it's not good and it's not part of the vision why it was. What do you think should be done to correct that?
What needs to be done, our approach, all of us, entrepreneurs in the blockchain space, the concentration should not just be, Bitcoin. What I see in the future, Bitcoin will just be a store of value. People will just use it to hedge. Just like we have gold, people buy gold to hedge their risk. So Bitcoin will be a risk. We should be concentrated more on the technology, the blockchain.
what are the possibilities of the blockchain? What can we use the blockchain to do? Can we use the blockchain to reduce cost of transaction? Can we use the blockchain to reduce the cost of transfer, global remittances? Can we use the blockchain to reduce supply chain? I mean, give more proof of the technology. For me, that's how our whole idea should be. And how, if we want to bet on Bitcoin, the question should not be, how do we mine more Bitcoin? The question should be, how do we get Bitcoin to be able to use Bitcoin to pay for my airtime bill? How do I use Bitcoin to pay for my flight ticket? How do I use Bitcoin to go to market and buy foodstuff? How do I use Bitcoin to go to the market and buy water in a shop? That should be the discussion. That should be the focus. Because that was the reason why Satoshi, whether they are a group of people or one person, that was the idea. That was the motivation to get Bitcoin in the hands of millions of people. For me, that is what I look at it. I don't look at it from how do I mine as a miner, how do I make more money at the expense of the masses. That is the reason why Satoshi came, so that we can move away from the centralized control of money. Money is not supposed to be controlled by one person. It's a decentralized, finance that we have today. So Bitcoin, if you all are interested to ensure Bitcoin become a global currency, then we should be interested in pushing Bitcoin into the hands of millions of people. Average man should be able to use Bitcoin to pay for his airtime bill, airtime, data, buy water, buy coffee at the coffee shop, buy sneakers, go to the gym, use it to pay for his gym fee. This is how we all should ensure Bitcoin get out there. And the more it gets out there, the miners will get money from the validation of the transaction, because you need to validate the transaction. Yeah.
Okay, Eric, you nailed it there. I understand your point. So I will still get back to you concerning that, because we are still moving what we have here. We are still coming to adoption. But before that, Mr. Arnold, what can you say about it? The Bitcoin that just halved, what do you think will be the impact on miners?
Yes, I just quickly like to hook on the last speaker, because it's exactly what we do. We deliver a kind of language so everyone can build smart contracts easily without the knowledge of all kind of programming languages. So adoption is really important for that. We also should remind that, well, when you talk about any currency, or it's a dollar or it's a Bitcoin, it has certain purposes. And economic literature is very clear about it. When you have a coin, you can use it for transactions. For example, if I want to trade some chicken for some wood with someone, well, I can give him chicken and he can give me wood, but then I would say, oh, I already have some wood and it's also hard to carry. So that's why for this transaction benefit, we say, look, take a piece of gold, you can easily carry it and you don't have to carry around the chicken all day. So that is the transaction value. And it's really great, because if you have a Bitcoin, or you have Bitcoin is basically a digital lump of gold. You can send it all over the world and pay with it. Okay, that's the transaction value. You also can speculate with it, like in a casino. Because Bitcoin is not grounded, it goes up and down. That's a nasty thing. But if you do a trade, if I do a trade to Africa and I pay, for example, a container, and I want to use it to pay and basically bypass the banks, it's great. It's still great, because I make a phone call and I say I want to have the stuff, and at a certain moment, within minutes, we do this transaction. And within that minute, the Bitcoin doesn't go up and down that much. So then you can shut out speculation. The third value is storage of money. Well, we see when the value halves, then you're not happy, of course, when you stored all your money there, but you were basically speculating. Maybe you should not have done that. Bitcoin is not that good at it. But the other purposes, having good transactions that are basically not centralized owned, wow, that's really cool. And I fully agree with the last speaker. We should not have banks ruling us. We just had this week, the European president said, well, he didn't feel anything for blockchains because, well, he's printing money like hell. In America, they're printing dollars, so that's not so good. It's not so good for Africa that everyone is carrying around dollars. It's not your point. You better have something digital. So the promise is still there. And maybe it's not the Bitcoin, maybe it's another coin, but I really believe in decentralized currencies and decentralized power. It was also in the past, 100 years ago, we traded with gold. It was far more secure than having this kind of well, basically not grounded currencies like...
Mr. Arnold, thank you very much. We have to continue. So still moving ahead, still with you, Mr. Arnold. The last speaker, Mr. Eric, was talking about we should pay more attention when it comes down. We should pay more attention to adoption than the main issue, and also pay more attention about the technology that this Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency run on. We have been able to understand what cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and the technology underneath it is, the importance, the advantages. So what do you think should be done to get mass adoption?
Mass adoption is linked, first of all, to awareness. Now, well, for example, this video helps there. Also to education. The nice thing is of blockchain is that it is a fairly easy technology. We easily can copy. So of course it's made of mathematics, so for some people it looks very far away, but all kind of technology, when it's surrounded with proper tools, people can use it. Take a car. A car is very easy. You just start the engine, drive away with it. But when the car just came 100 years ago, you always had to open it and really had to look inside if there was an engine and how it worked. Now we don't care about that. We just start a car, we just use it. People just take a computer and use it. And of course, there is a lot of stuff inside the computer people will never understand. And the same with blockchain. You don't have to know all the mathematics behind it if you just can use it. And then it will certainly revolutionize those who will really maybe have some lack in understanding. You don't need to. And therefore it's great for Africa, for example. You don't have a lot of education and compared to all the institutes they are in the West, but you don't need to. It's a really cheap tool. And therefore it is really a big promise for Africa to transfer knowledge, to transfer trust, to build also those large systems and institutes.
Okay, Mr. Arnold, sorry, you said it's good for Africa, and what we are trying to, I was saying earlier on that if you have a good product, you know the advantages of this ecosystem. So what do you think should be done to get people on board, more people on board?
But yes, we deliver a blockchain language. And we are a foundation, so we like to share it, we like to bring it to Africa. It is a mathematical compiler, and it compiles normal English or a local language. We could easily translate it to local languages into blockchain code, programming code. So if you compare it to Google Translate, you cannot talk to Google and get Java back. That is not working. You also cannot translate Java into C using Google because Google has the wrong engine for that. They're always guessing the translation. We know that because we always have to check Google if they translate correct. So if you do the translation into a computer language and it's something for a machine, they cannot handle errors. The machine works or it doesn't work.
Okay.
So you need a very precise machine, and that is what we do. And now we enable people who are not programmers to program and to make blockchains. And that is great for Africa.
Okay. What you, Mr. Arnold, you're talking about simplifying the ecosystem, the blockchain technology, so that people can easily understand it. Yes, that's very, very interesting. So, Mr. Obina, what can you say about it? The Bitcoin halving just occurred. So, what do you think should be done for mass adoption?
Okay, first of all, like Eric and Arnold said, education and sensitization will play a major role in adoption because, like the layman on the street might not really know about Bitcoin or blockchain, but once you get that information to him, he might say, "Oh, this is a better way of me sending money to my brother in Ghana, to my brother in Togo, instead of going through banks or MoneyGram." So that education and sensitization is one of the major rules or the major avenue for massive adoption to take place. Also, I will also add them into institutional players like the big banks and the big institutions. Like from yesterday, we had the news of JP Morgan doing something with Gemini and Coinbase. This will help massive adoption because once JP Morgan, because some months back we had the head of JP Morgan saying something negative about Bitcoin. Is it Jamie Dimon or something? But now he's coming out to help these Bitcoin startups, to help them with their customers. So we have in Africa, we also have some online marketplace using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to accept payment. All these things help them helps adoption. We also have the government. You see China doing something about the digital currency. You see, in Africa, some countries in Africa, they are already doing something about regulation. So even fintech banks, the banks now, they need to come in because they also have the customer base to help this. Once bank partner with crypto startups or blockchain startups, this will help drive massive adoption because they have the base to work with. So firstly, we have the education and sensitization, we have the institutional players, we have the government. So these three, if these three can be done effectively within the next 3 to 5 years, I believe we'll have Bitcoin and blockchain in every sphere of the earth.
Okay.
So once these three, because these three, they have the customer base, they have the users. So once you can get these guys to come in and play a massive role in the blockchain space, I believe we can get the Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to the layman on the street, to the builder, to the mason, to the cook, to the chef, to the restaurant owners. Because these guys, they already have a relationship with some of these players. So we need to partner with these guys. We need to bring them in. We need to make them know the benefits of using blockchain because it's cheaper, it's transparent, it's immutable, it's trustless. So all these are benefits that these guys need to know, and they will have to come in for this thing to drive massive adoption. Because education and sensitization, yes, to play a very major role, but still, we still need these guys to come in. It's so evident. We have Tudo. Some days back, Tudo said he has like 1% of his wealth on Bitcoin. Do you know the ripple effect of that statement made in the last few days? Because some of these institutional players now, these traders, these forex guys, they're already thinking of blockchain and Bitcoin because of what Tudo did. So because he is also a major player in the space, in the capital market. So him making that statement that he has already 1 or 2% of his assets on Bitcoin, he's already sending positive signal about Bitcoin. And this will help drive massive adoption.
Okay, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. Okay, Eric, what's your take about this? What should be done to get mass adoption?
Well, my comment on that is very simple. Today, you don't need to know how your phone gets signal from the tower to make call. My grandmother in a village doesn't need to know how the phone works, or she can send WhatsApp message and the recipient gets. It's the same thing. I think when blockchain started, the tech guys were so much interested in the big jargons, the technical things. So everything blockchain. What is blockchain? He will tell you it's immutable, blocks. That I don't think we need all those things. What we should concentrate, like Obina said, is about sensitizing the public. It's about psychology, trust. You need to build trust. For people to trust you, they need to be aware that, the existing legacy system also are participating. So I am of opinion that blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency itself cannot have mass adoption if we think that we are fighting the legacy systems. We are not fighting for relevance. We are not fighting for control. What we need to be concentrating in is how do we influence? Because it's about influence. We need to carry the legacy system, the banks, because they have earned the trust of society for years. Whether the masses are being shortchanged by printing of more money through lending or through quantitative easing by the central bank, it doesn't matter. They know. My grandmother, my grandfather knows that the bank, his money is safe with the bank. So no matter what you tell him, he tell that the bank is this first safety when it comes to his wealth. So for us to have mass adoption for blockchain-based assets, digital, decentralized finance assets like Ethereum, KBS token, SLM, Bitcoin, we need to have government buy-in. We need to have the banks also accepting. The banks should, a customer of the bank should see that, my bank, GT Bank or Zenith Bank or UBA Bank accept Bitcoin. That news would change a lot of psychology. It's a psychological effect. So we or the players in the space should be more nimble, be more open to collaboration. That's why for the last 2 years, what could be tests we have been doing? We say collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. Because the future of business is about collaboration. It's not about competition. Because we have 7.2 billion people on globe, on world. Over 2 billion of these people don't have access to finance. The banks have operated for the last 60 years, 70 years. They have still not been able to serve the global world. How do we use mobile phone to penetrate finance, give access to finance? It is through collaboration. Yes, the legal system, they have the infrastructure. Startup, fintechs, blockchain startup, we do not have the infrastructure. We have the technology. We understand that we can reach the last mile within a second. So the only way we can do that is to collaborate, is to come together, is to leverage on each other so that we can be able to reach the last mile. And for me, if we do that in the next 5 years, we'll realize that we'll be able to have massive financial inclusion globally. Africa is about 60%. People would have access to finance. We need to reduce that. We need to aim at getting at least 70% of Africa.
Finally, Obinna, having said all this, we've been able to talk about the ecosystem, the way forward and everything. So what do you think is the future of cryptocurrency and blockchain?
Okay, first of all, like what we've been saying earlier, the future is these big guys, they need to come in. The institutional players need to come in because, like I said, for you to even achieve the massive adoption, you need these guys in. It's so obvious because it's just like you partner with Facebook, and Facebook, they have the audience, they have the user base. Once you partner with Facebook to do something, my friend, you blow. In Nigerian terms, they call it you blow because they have the audience, they have the user base. So you need to partner with the institutional players, the banks, the government. Because once the government don't really accept cryptos or blockchain, man, what you are saying is it doesn't concern them. So the future is these guys need to come in. Like China is really doing well with their digital currency. That to me is the positive one on helping massive adoption. So also, I'll also add the transaction fee. We know in future there might not be enough Bitcoin to pay miners. The transaction fees will have to come into play. We have to increase for the miners to come in to stay. Because if the miners don't stay, we might have issues with safeguarding the Bitcoin network. So the transaction fee will have to increase over time in the next 50 to 60 years for the Bitcoin network to last that long. So even before that, we need the government to come in. We need the institutional players. We need the banks. We need everybody to come in.
Okay, we need institutional players to come in for the future to be bright. What can you say, Mr. Arnold? What's the future, just in a minute, the future of cryptocurrency and blockchain?
Well, I was already very enthusiastic about it. I like a little bit to elaborate on Eric because these were very great words. That this digitalization, not only digitalization of banking, but digitalization in general is really important. And because digitalization is so cheap, everyone can do that. And Africa doesn't need to lose this battle. If you compare it to the internet itself, everyone can make a website using WordPress nowadays. Everyone can do it. So everyone in the near future, especially when you use such tools like we do, can build blockchains. That's really great. So we do not need to be dependent on someone who is doing that. We do not need to go to Google to use their tools to build our blockchains, because then you get the same issue as with the money, with using the dollar. You should use your own, you should build your own stuff. At this moment, it's launched in China. They offer a kind of toolbox to build blockchains. That sounds really great. But of course, then all your procedures and your smart contracts are in China. Then you have the same problem as you have now with the dollar. It's not your currency. If they print more dollars in America, or in this case, they want to X-ray you, well, there you go. So I believe it's very important to stay digital sovereign. And with a new technology, everyone is on the same page. You just have to run fast. We like to help, for example, all Africa. We have really advanced technology we like to bring over, because I believe you should have your own compiler and digital language, a digital toolbox to just win the race.
Okay, thank you. You really nailed it. Mr. Eric, you were saying something before the network cut you short. So we are concluding. So what do you think is the future? How do you see the future of blockchain and cryptocurrency?
Well, I'm very enthusiastic about the future of decentralized finance. It's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and we are there. So for me, and what we're trying to do in Africa, like he said, Arnold said, Africa has to think Africa. Africa has to think, what kind of solution can we build to solve African problem? And I think blockchain is a fantastic opportunity for Africa to leapfrog and meet the West development, and leapfrog and meet the development of the Asians. If you miss this opportunity, where, let me tell you a story. For the first time in history, blockchain is the only technology innovation or revolution that has no patent. No single country has a patent for blockchain. No country will say, we own blockchain. I mean, all the technology that has passed, the internet, social media, all those technology that we are using today, people have owned the patent. People have registered the patent. It's owned by somebody. So you need to, request for access. Blockchain is an open source. Blockchain is a decentralized solution that nobody needs anybody's permission to do it. So we are calling our government, our financial institutions in Africa to think very proactive, to be futuristic thinkers, to be system changers, to be generational changers. And let's use blockchain to reduce poverty in Africa. We can do it. Today, it costs about 10% to send money from Nigeria to Ghana. Do you know, with blockchain-based solution like what Kubitas we have built, you can actually send money to Ghana by paying less than 2%. Blockchain, that's it. So what kind of opportunity do we have? Today, we have Africa, where we are talking about Africa Continental Free Trade Zone area. Do you know it's about $2 trillion in trade? If we are using blockchain solution as a means of payment, we can reduce institutional cost of money movement to about 90% less. We are using SWIFT today. It's so expensive. This is owned by somebody's, somewhere in the West. We can use blockchain to create a solution, a SWIFT that will reduce intra-bank transfers, trade finance, remittances to 90% less. What it means that you enable you to save more money as an institution, corporate institution, as an individual, you are saving more money, and the multiply effect is what creation. So let's use blockchain to create what in Africa. For Africa, let's think about Africa. Everybody's thinking about their continent. Let's think about Africa. Use blockchain to change lives in Africa. Let's create wealth for our people, for our generation that to come. Because Africa is expected to grow in double force by end of the century to about 2.5 billion people. So if you're not thinking blockchain, decentralization, digitalization, which is cheaper than the legacy system, then I don't know where Africa is going. But I believe, I'm optimistic, I believe in Africa. I believe that we have young, smart people in Africa that have a knowledge about blockchain that can help government to solve problems within a minute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You really poured your mind out, and that's very, very good. You're calling on the Africans to sit up and build this. This is an opportunity for Africa to make impact and to change their story for good. So this is a very good one coming from three gentlemen. It's an honor to have you on CoinNewsExtra virtual blockchain and cryptocurrency panel discussion. So thank you very much, Arnold, for joining us on today's show.
Oh, it was an honor. It was a joy. It's a joy. Thank you. And the passion of Eric, I fully share. And we like to bring that technology. And I really believe it works.
That's very great. Obinna, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to see and talk with these guys. I'm really impressed and I like what you guys are doing. Just keep it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Eric, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. It's a privilege to meet you, Arnold. Obidan, thanks for meeting you. And Coin News Extra. Keep going. The sky is not the limit today. So let's dream bigger and let's have an ambitious plan and let's think change. Let's think impact. It's about impact. Don't forget, the world will be better with empathy, compassion, and kindness. Let's embrace kindness. Let's embrace empathy and compassion so that we can create. It's not about competition. It's about collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you very much.